Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. It is 4 o'clock, and this is the regular business meeting of the Jefferson Public Utility District Board of Commissioners. My name is Jeff Randall, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Jefferson PUD will be offering both virtual online meetings as well as in-person meetings unless advance notice is provided. Online participant audio will be muted upon entry. Please unmute at the appropriate time to speak. And if you're calling in, you star 6 to mute and unmute, star 9 to raise a hand or request to speak. Let's have a roll call of commissioners. My name is Jeff Randall, president of the board and commissioner for District 1.
Kenneth Collins, Commissioner District 2.
Dan Tuber, Commissioner for District 3.
Okay, so we have an agenda, and I just spoke with the attorney before the meeting started. So our agenda is a little different than normal. We've got item number 4 is general manager hiring resolution, and actually we have 2 resolutions before us that are enacting different parts of that necessary action. So other than that's one change I propose we make, is to have the agenda reflect that there are actually 2 resolutions under the general manager hiring process. Anybody else have any changes to the agenda? Seeing none.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor of approving the amended agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, so try and lead us off, and maybe, or actually Joel, would you mind leading us off since you drafted all this stuff?
I can do that.
Thank you. And it's nice to have you here, Joel. It's been a while.
It's nice to be here, especially on today's agenda. So, what you have before you are 2 motions, and the purpose of these are to appoint a new general manager. I've been representing you since 2017. I have the privilege of helping you hire 3. And this is your 3rd show, so welcome. So what you have before you is by RCW, the PUD is required to follow a particular process in appointing a general manager. And that's the first resolution, just simply appointing the general manager, and to start on August 4th. And to do that, the resolution is introduced here, presented, and then it'll be finally adopted. I think your plan is at the next subsequent regular meeting, which will be August 5th.
And when we do that live, it'll be on consent.
That's at the discretion of the board.
I guess I would propose not to have it on.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we
Yeah.
get the agenda right, so there's.
Just
no
in
hiccups.
case anybody.
Yeah, and I think if it's on consent, then you do it in mass, whatever, there's board minutes and other things on consent. If you wanna have a conversation about the resolution at that point, then you probably best to have a separate agenda.
I'd probably propose it as a separate agenda item, just in case anybody wants to talk about it.
No, I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page now. I'm not.
Okay,
Sure.
good.
So
And then the second resolution before you actually has to do with authorizing the employment agreement. I've been working with Commissioner Randall and Mr. Wilson here about the contract that's before you. And so this resolution authorizes the agreement and authorizes the president of the commission, Mr. Randall, to execute it on behalf of the PUD. And so those are the 2 resolutions. It's, the contract is, I think I've explained to everybody, is a public agreement or a public agency, and it'll be covered on the record. So if you have questions about the resolutions, if you have questions about the contract, let me know.
And I recall, at least I think I recall, that when we've talked about this previously, referred to the candidate as candidate number 14 because we were keeping it confidential, but it seems like we did talk about the contract, the length of term, and the amount of the salary. So it's a 4-year contract, annual salary begins at $365,000, and then there's other benefits that are attributable to regular PUD employees, and there's a couple in there that are to account for the transitional nature of Joe coming here and helping him with some expenses and things to make the transitions. So
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say that it, the benefits offered are consistent. There's a couple adjustments to the housing stipulation, and the vacation offered again shows length of experience. But everything else is consistent with what any other new employee in the community had.
Okay. So I guess what I propose to start with is just if we could take these as a group, we'll act on them individually, but be able to discuss them as the group if we have any questions. So I guess, do the commissioners at this point have any questions or concerns about any of the major terms or anything else in these
No.
resolutions? Okay, so then what I would propose is to let Joe introduce himself. And we normally say 3 minutes, but I'd say in this case, you can take as much time as you want, you know, keep it reasonably brief. But please introduce yourself and say hi. And then if folks have comments or questions, any of the resolutions, it's still a formal public meeting. It's still something we have to take action on. So I think it is completely appropriate and anybody can ask questions or make comments on what's being proposed. And then we proceed to deliberation and action. And then once we've deliberated and acted, the intent is to take a little break and for people to say hi to Joe. So, Joe Wilson, welcome. Candidate number 14. Somebody told me we should call you double agent 14 or something like that, you know.
That sounds way cooler.
00714. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, commissioners. Good afternoon. My name is Joe Wilson, and super pleased to be here this afternoon with you. As I drove over the bridge, I was awestruck at the natural beauty of Jefferson County, and it brought me back to the first year of my career when I came over and played a very small role in helping Mr. Toy at Fort Johnson High School on the electric car project and putting some infrastructure together for the school to enjoy electric cars and learn more about them. So that was a fun memory that just had again this afternoon. I'm very grateful to the commissioners for running a very rigorous process. 14 I don't know, but the late
49 total candidates at the beginning, 14 kind of finalists that we.
it was a very professional recruitment, rigorous from the candidate's perspective. I'm sure from your perspective as well, but it's a very professional run, and just super grateful and humble to have been selected from that process. In the process, though, I recognize that the commissioners have very high expectations for this general manager role for me. And I accept that high level of accountability and expectation around performance and delivering the value that you all expect for your community and the critical services that PUD delivers. That will I'll be fully committed to executing on your expectations and the community's expectations to meet those obligations. That you're very clear about how high those expectations are leading. In a leadership role, I'm not delivering services directly. So my leadership team will be dedicated to create the environment, the systems and structures so our employees can deliver excellent services to our customers firsthand. So we'll just be there to create that great environment, and our employees will continue to do their great work. That's our goal as leaders. And so every decision that we'll be making on the leadership team will be focused on knowing that our customers own this place, that we'll be focused on delivering optimal value for them. So community value first will be our guiding principle in all our decisions. So we look forward to working with staff and learning more about what the commissioners expect of me, and have a plan for that I'll be discussing with you about how to onboard and ramp up, and obviously first by getting to know staff and learning about the great work that they're doing, and look for opportunities down the road to support them in that work. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have any questions? I think it's probably okay to say questions for Joe, or questions or comments on the actions or either resolution or the contract that we have before us tonight. So either in the room or online. Okay. I'm sorry, I should have let you talk too.
Well, no.
What am I doing?
I just want to thank Joe for coming here. We have a great community. I think we have a great board, so I think you're gonna come here and have a great time, so just thank you and we appreciate you being here. So, that's it.
Can I respond? So I got to meet Kevin for the first time when he was being presented a very significant award at the Northwest Coal Power Association annual meeting. And I've only got to talk to him essentially one time since then. But his dedication to this utility and community are just unquestionable. And he's gonna have really big shoes. I'm gonna have a really hard time filling his big shoes, so thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Okay, I see Don McDaniel has his hand up. Welcome, Don.
So first of all, congratulations to the board, recognizing the schedule that you have normally. It must have been a pretty intensive few weeks here getting through all the processes you've had to go through. So congratulations. And welcome, Joe. Golly, I think you're going to inherit a group of hard-working, dedicated employees. And as far as moving to Jefferson County, all I have to say is welcome to paradise. And Kevin, it won't be long and you can sleep beyond 4:30 to 5 in the morning, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank-
Don.
Yep.
Thank you, Don. Do we have any questions for Joe or questions for the board on proposed actions we have before us? Not seeing any online. Do you have any in the room? Not seeing any in the room. Okay, coming back to the board. So the attorney has recommended that we take up the first resolution, which is a resolution for the appointment of the general manager. And this is one that would require a second reading, and we were planning to do that at our August 5th board meeting. And this resolution would appoint Joe, and his agreed start date would be August 4th.
So are we voting on that?
This is, we have to have a motion, and we can have discussion, we can have a motion, but the idea is we have a first reading. Explain a first reading. What is happening on a first reading? We don't do these very often.
We only do it when you're hiring a general manager. The statute requires that you submit at a regular meeting, the appointment of the general manager, and that would be your first reading. The second reading would be when you adopt the resolution formally on August 5th.
So-
Regular.
so-
Per statute.
So for first reading, are you really just introducing it and saying this is first reading and there's no ask for a vote? Is that the proper way to do it?
You
I don't know.
would, yeah, it would be introduced. And yes, you would not need to vote on it.
Okay, so we're
Adopted.
introducing it. We've had public comment.
And any
Any
further questions, and then we'll set it aside for final adoption on August 5th.
Okay, so the board doesn't have any more questions, no concerns at this
So as
point.
long as the dates are applicable here, that the start date is actually gonna be August 4th, correct?
Yes.
We don't even anticipate any change in
Unless
that.
there's objections, that's the proposal, and that's how the contract reads also.
Yep.
Okay. And as as I've talked to Joel about this, we maintaining the confidentiality, it's like, well, it's not confidential anymore, so as soon as you have your first reading, it's not confidential, so the steps of us taking our action and Joe takes action with his employer and it all working out, it kind of works out that the second reading is kind of after the fact a little bit, it's kind of a formality.
I think that because of the way the commissioners decided to proceed in recruitment in order to maximize confidentiality to provide a broader pool of candidates, as Commissioner Randall mentioned earlier, that the process itself sort of at the end of it, we just have to take a couple extra steps to follow the law, but the statute states that general manager is appointed, and that's done separately, that's an action of the board. Contract is something different.
Okay, so we can say that we have had our first reading of the resolution for the appointment of the general manager being Joe Wilson, effective August 4th, and we'll have a second reading on this August
on the
5th.
fifth, and
We have done our
you
first
vote,
reading.
you vote accordingly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have no further questions, or
Yeah.
objections to moving this on to a second reading on August fifth.
Okay, there are no objections, that
Oh, I'm fine with that.
it shall be so. So the second item is a resolution authorizing for an employment agreement for the general manager of the PUD, which again is Joe Wilson with the same start date with the terms I mentioned earlier, 4 years. Annual salary of $365,000. So this is one where we can take action on it tonight. It will be effective tonight if approved, and we can sign it tonight.
It authorizes the president to execute the contract on behalf of the PD, and then the counterpart will be by Joe. And then we'll have a contract
And we have discussed these terms at previous meetings,
numerous times.
numerous times. Okay, any questions or comments on this one?
So I move that the board adopt the resolution authorizing an employment agreement for the general manager of Jefferson PUD with Joseph Wilson.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Saying none. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Congratulations, Joe. Thank you, our new general manager. So we planned a 20-minute break, just for folks to say hi and folks to get to know each other. So if we have any PUD employees who'd like to come down here, or if nobody comes, Kevin and Joe may come find you wherever you are in the building. So we're gonna take a 20-minute break. We'll come back at 4:36. And then just so folks know, we expect the meeting won't last too long. We've got a couple of items and we plan to adjourn after the meeting to an unofficial assembly at the Valley Tavern at around, 5:30 or something. If folks want to hang out and say hi to Joe. Okay, or the commissioners, we'll be there. Okay, thanks, everybody, coming back, we're adjourned, we are taking a break until 4:37. Okay, we have completed our 20-minute break. Joe Wilson has been able to introduce himself to staff and people in the room, and we're really glad to have him here. And again, we'll be a Valley Tavern location after the meeting. So, our next item on the agenda is public comment, so I'll leave this real quick. The public comment period allows members of the public to comment, limited to 3 minutes each, on any items not specifically listed on the agenda or for items listed on the consent agenda. Prior to any public comment, members of the public must first be recognized by the president and are not permitted to disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct and fair progress of the commission's meeting. After initial warning by the president, individuals who intentionally violate these guidelines through actual disruption of the commission meeting will be dropped from the meeting. So we have anyone who wants to make a comment on items not on the agenda or on consent agenda. I'll start with. I'll have my glasses.
Bill Stover.
Phil Silver. Stover. Thank you. Dan. Philip.
You're muted.
You might be muted, or we might have our speaker turned down. Let's figure out, hold on a second. Maybe just say a few words to see if we can. Still can't hear you then.
Okay, good.
There we go. We got you. Please start over.
Okay. Bill Silver, District 1, Port Townsend. I'm curious if there's anything going on in Jefferson County related to the ongoing fire activities and the, I guess Mason County's already shut down some power around the Brennan area. And welcome, Joe. Thanks.
All right, so when we get to manager and staff, of course, maybe Kevin, the fire stuff is emerging and concerning, so if you could just say what we know and to the extent of effect. Sure. Any other comments?
Yeah, a couple. So I brought this up before, a few times, rate study. I've been told now, well, there's not enough comparables. I don't really think you should be looking at comparables. You should be looking at cost of service and what you expect on your ROI. Because just by sitting down and looking at the financials and doing the math of the payroll alone, for your broadband department, which looks like just in net payroll out, not including taxes, benefits or anything, you're looking at like $50,000 a month. Where at that rate, just for that revenue, that little bit of extra revenue you make doing retail, you're not gonna cover the cost, you're not even gonna cover the cost of your payroll. Let alone your additional expenses for providing service. I mean, the math just really doesn't work out. I mean, by the time you get to probably 5,000 customers, just to cover what your expenses are now. You're gonna have to bring in more staff. I mean, you wouldn't have enough to cover it. So. It just financially, I don't see where that makes sense. So I really think you need to look at cost of service. You know, and what it costs to actually provide retail as comparison to providing wholesale. So, cause there's a big spread there in the cost. The other thing is on the 8th, there was a power outage in Port Leather. Like 9:30 in the evening. At 11, and I know everybody's heard about everybody freaking out the next day because CenturyLink was out. At 11:29, somehow CenturyLink's fiber got cut. Where that outage was at 11:29. 2 poles, if that was 2 poles, actually right there, if both those fibers got cut and not just the one, you guys would have been, the whole peninsula would have been totally out. That right there is a severe choke point. So why, my question is, how the cable get cut and why was it cut?
Is that your comment?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I was somewhere where, I think I went in, so I didn't think my phone was working, and I went into Verizon, and they said, everybody's out, you don't have anything. So if you could share what you know about. Do we have any other public comments for items not on the agenda or on consent agenda, going once, going twice? Okay. So I think we're to manager and staff reports, and just for, I asked Kevin this earlier. Because Joe's here and he's gotta travel back to Gay Harbor, presuming you're traveling back to Gay Harbor tonight, like Joel is too. I was gonna ask the commissioners if you're okay skipping commissioner reports this time, unless there's anything really. If you have something vital you wanna share it, absolutely, if it's timely, and same with staff, maybe skip stuff unless it's been asked about, or you feel like it's otherwise time. Please go, Kevin.
So, a quick update, if the board remembers, we were partnering with the port, the airport business park, and we have a PIP. Funding for part of that project.
You said PIF,
Public
public infrastructure.
We got about a year ago and it was to put some infrastructure in. Since then, there's been 3 or 4 projects that have come together on the port. It looks like we're gonna extend our water line through the port, make a couple major feeders through the port property. Tie in the business park. We have the timber coalition that's going in on port property. So we're gonna put these all together. We have a interlocal where we do a lot of work with the port both ways. They're gonna do some work for us, we're gonna do some work for them. So just to let the board know that there'll be some shared costs and revenues throughout this project. Part of it being PIP, part of it, we're gonna donate some infrastructure, and the port's gonna be doing a lot of the trenching and installing ports in this town.
So we know roughly like the budget for our side of things and how much of that's gonna be covered by PIF.
So
versus
the PIF, and it's a sliding scale, we get roughly $150,000 for putting infrastructure in. Will has talked about going after some state money to install the water pipeline. So we're looking for all kinds of funding sources. This is gonna be a couple $1 million project, all said and done, but we have to replace the pipe along 4 corners anyway. This is a much cheaper solution for the water. Power, it gives us some new outgoing fees that we desperately need. So it's gonna be a long-term project, but it is something that desperately needed in the area.
Okay, so it sounds like that's gonna start fairly soon. Do we know when it's scheduled to be done?
No, we're early designs.
Okay.
I talked to Jimmy on Monday. Routing power is gonna be a little bit different than originally. Originally, we're gonna come up through April's property. The Fort bought for access, but now we're gonna come down through the transmission cord.
Questions on that one? One thing to add to that, I think, as I recall, the PIF board, we decided, I think. The revenues, when they were coming in, that there probably wasn't going to be any more PIF money coming out. Anytime soon, as I recall, so what money is there.
Exhausted.
Yeah, more or less, if I recall correctly, it's been 6 months since we had a meeting, and probably be another 3 or 4 months before we have another meeting. It seemed to me, the discussion and decision was they would give you, bringing in revenue, but we're gonna let that revenue sit and build a little bit, as I recall. Because the county had some things they were doing too, that they needed some of that, share of that money for the sewer or something. I don't remember all the details, so
Okay.
just from a funding standpoint, what we've got is what we've got. I wouldn't expect any more coming out of the public infrastructure fund at this point, as memory serves.
Any update on the fire stuff?
I can give you a quick update on the fire. Earlier, we were in communication with Mason One. They were just disconnecting small taps so that the pumps at our Lazy C would be working. We got a call just a few minutes ago. They're gonna shut off power to the area. And so Jose, he's not on site right now, but he's trying to make arrangements for getting some generators and stuff up to Lazy C so that we can keep the tanks full.
Okay.
I'm not sure where we are in the process, but the fire is expanding and, our PUD water crew will go. We have offered our line crews if, they lose some poles and stuff, that probably be in the near future, not right now.
And it started as a house fire.
Started as a house fire.
And they're turning off the power to stop risk of more fires starting from the lines being energized or danger to the people responding.
Yeah, when I first talked to Josh, it was very small, they weren't. They didn't think it was gonna spread or be a big thing. Now, I don't know what changed, but they're very concerned now, so we're mobilizing some of our people.
Okay.
I'm a little bit,
Yeah.
a little more detail on this, so quick questions. Trying to think, I don't think we have a lot of hydrants on our system in that area. Is the plan? Are you hearing, is the fire department gonna draw off of our system and all, or off the tanks? Is there gonna be intertie to our system to help fight the fire, or?
They're gonna pull water off our system. How and where, I don't know.
So I'm just preemptively thinking, I hear this all the time, they hook up and they suck people's hot water heaters inside out. I mean, are we prepared that we won't have any liability if they do hook up to our system down there? Are we prepared for that?
We'll have people on site, as you know, hammering those water lines. We have places where the pipes are bad to begin with and, we get a lot of cracks, a lot of stuff. We'll have to deal with that if that happens.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then could you respond to the communication at what we know about it? And is our system vulnerable?
I'm not gonna say what I've heard, because I've just heard rumors. I don't know why it was cut or how. Every system, our electric system, our fiber system, vandalism is a real issue in today's world.
And that's what occurred here.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't wanna say, but even in our water system, vandalism can cause disruptions, outages and problems. I don't know if that's what caused this, but we do take precautions and we're always trying to get things better. That's one of the reasons we have Jeff here. The broadband expansion is gonna be huge for us to get notification back at some of our remote sites, that kind of stuff.
I guess I'm wondering, I'll let you go next, Dan. Would it make sense at all to reach out to the sheriff's department and find out formally more about it? And if we should be concerned about security or safety for our equipment?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
As far as not having to reach out and stuff, I think.
And I'll let you go and say, go ahead.
So I don't see Curtis here, so the second pathway that we were working on off the peninsula, would that alleviate this particular choke point? Would we have a second path, or would this still be a choke point?
Will and Curtis are working extremely hard to get the second pathway off. The second pathway would eliminate this choke point completely, not only for us, but for other vendors.
Thank you.
If it's
So,
related.
Are we, if I get this right, are we discussing the Paradise Bay situation?
This was discussing the outage, the communication outage that occurred. Yes, I
The
thought.
cable cut
Okay.
that you
The
mentioned.
cable, right, cable cut, well, the only people that were there. In that spot where the cable was cut at 11:39 at night was PUD staff.
Hmm.
Somebody or something cut the cable.
Excuse me, can I,
Joel, sure.
how do you,
I live,
no, excuse me, how do you know?
how do I know that?
Yeah.
Well, number one, I lost several hundred of my CenturyLink customers due to this.
No, how do you know that they were PUD employees then?
Because that's where the tree fell. Right there is where the repairs were made. The cable was initially laying on the ground. Right, because the tree fell and service was still on. At 9:30. At 11:29, I saw hundreds of my circuits on CenturyLink instantaneously drop.
And you're
All
saying,
at the same time.
and you're saying PUD
And
staff was.
I don't know who cut it. I don't know exactly what happened, but that is where the damage took
Well,
place.
please don't say that PUD staff were there if you don't know the PUD staff.
Oh, no, the PUD staff was there.
You saw.
I do know,
You don't know who cut the cable.
but I don't know who cut the cable.
Okay.
But CenturyLink was tasked with fixing the cable, I assume then, that was
I
their
have no
infrastructure.
information on what he said.
Did we do any communications repair?
Yeah, the places at CenturyLink were working, I don't know if it was there or not, I do know they worked, some other locations.
So bottom line, it didn't affect PUD. Okay, so it's hard for us to respond to this assembly.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, well, other manager reports, sure.
One quick thing after the port, we'll give an update on the.
Yeah, we submitted our application for Defense Community Infrastructure Program for 13.5 million. To add a second bay to the Chimney substation and do a direct express feeder underground out to Indian Island. That'll be reviewed for the first time. We were able to get a top secret letter supporting the project. We were also, from Kevin and Mike's trip back to DC, got advice on how to score a little bit higher. We've always been applying for reliability projects. They're saying now that we want to apply for increasing military value,
Okay.
which is a very nebulous term. We want all the points, so we made all the notes to apply for that.
They gave you the magic words.
We followed the leader, yes.
Yeah.
So timeline on Navy related work, we have more going on than just this one ask for money, right? We're working with the Navy on, or is this part of the underwater, or not
Yeah,
underwater, the old water line? Is
Yeah.
this part of the same thing?
That's the
Okay.
same.
So my question is because we're in an interim situation here in transitioning leadership and things like that. What's the timelines? Who's the team tasked with all of this? You know, the funding and project, details, that sort of thing. Who should be involved in that in this next 2-month period?
Well, let me give you quick the timeline for the award notification. We would find out in September if we won the project. And then we're supposed to, I think we're supposed to, they want to be under construction within a year of award notice. But contracts to start projects frequently take 6 months to a year. So it will be a little bit of time before the project's active.
So we had engineering in the process now, or are we pre-engineering anything, or are we waiting for a determination on the funding? Where are we at in the process?
We had to do some preliminary engineering to get the dollar amounts. And then that stops until we get some funding.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Anything else, Kevin?
One quick.
Yeah, so in our relationship with the Navy, because we've been meeting with them back and forth, they had 500,000 in BPA EI funding, energy efficiency incentive funding, they couldn't spend And they could have offered it to a lot of folks, they offered it to us.
Nice.
We took it, 500,000 is what we're allotted every year from the BPA,
So
so
it
it's a
doubles
huge
our,
amount.
you know,
We're gonna be rolling out basically a free washer dryer program
Wow.
to customers that are under 80% of AMI.
nice.
And that is a new incentive the BPA offered earlier this year. We didn't have the wherewithal to get it going, but collaborating with customer service and our new energy efficiency manager and Henry's Hardware, we're gonna launch it next week.
Terrific. And I think that's a great example of why relationships matter.
Yeah.
So that somebody can think of you when they have something that might not benefit them, but they could help with our mission. So that's great. I have a question for you, Kevin, and it's a little bit for Joe and Mike. So I asked, thinking about when Joe's gonna come in August 4th. And where we're at with the budget process, we've kind of had some quarterly meetings on this. I was asking Mike, when is our next step? And Mike kind of kicked it back to me. That's, you know, we need to talk about the next step because he's got to publish something the first Monday or something.
First Monday, we have to publish that on our website, the first Monday of September, we have our budget hearing, the first Monday of October.
Yeah.
With the transition of when it's coming up, we've been kind of a little bit slow in the process. We have to figure out expectations, what roles or what we need a budget that's gonna be kind of doing this. We knew, so we were working out, so probably sometime in early August, we'll have to have a special meeting to talk about the budget and do things. The directors, Melanie, Will and I have kind of been talking about a few things here and there, kind of getting Kevin's input a little bit, but with the transition getting ready to happen, knowing that it was happening soon, we've kind of put it on hold a little bit.
Okay.
So,
But we have some sort of form of draft budget for next year.
not yet, we're just in the process of putting numbers together still.
Okay.
So we haven't even got that far.
Okay, so anyway, just a thought, Kevin, you know, it's gonna become Joe's budget. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this now, or if, you know, Joe, what's your capacity to be hearing information before you roll in on August 4th, but it might be, that seems to be like one, in addition to meeting staff and all the other things, the budget is something that's kind of rolling and has deadlines, so we have to meet.
Budget will have to take a real priority for Joe, but it'll come together real quick. The input, from Joe will drive the final product, but it can go quickly with the directors and Joe working together. I don't see any problem.
Okay. Hey, feedback or?
Sounds like it's gonna be top priority for me, I'm on board, but I am willing to start looking at it.
Okay, so if commissioners are okay, if you have anything vital you want to share, go ahead.
Yeah, mine's, I won't worry about what's already happened, I'll talk about what's coming up, so I'm gonna attend Wakuta's. The monthly meetings in Skagit here, starting tomorrow, the 16th to the 18th. The strategic plan for 25-26 is on the agenda, I'll be facilitating the meeting on Friday. President, Lester is gonna be out, so I'll be running that meeting, but they're gonna be. Strategic plan is up for review, and probably adoption at the same time, I don't know if Ken, you're our voting member, if I'm not mistaken, to Wakuta, so this is some stuff. If you're not gonna be there, let me know. There's also gonna be a discussion about the maintenance needs of the Wakuta building. And this is kind of a big one, the Wakuta building in Olympia, and funding options are something that's gonna get discussed a little bit. And, excuse me, and the call for formation of an ad hoc committee. There's already the executive board, we're already working in conjunction with, Commissioner Hayes from Column on, and working with some consultants to set out the maintenance plan for the building that hasn't existed before. There's gonna be some different options put forward, and I don't think any decision will be made, but there will be that ad hoc committee will be formed.
Okay.
So that's something else of importance, because it could ultimately affect dues or one-time assessments or things like that. So that's something I want to keep on you guys' radar. That's pretty important discussion at that meeting on Friday as well.
Okay.
So, also gonna meet with Kevin on 21st, say Tri-Cities. I'll be in Tri-Cities on July 22nd to 24th for Energy Northwest. And again, you guys may have seen some emails. I know Kevin sent one out a while ago. They were asking for our feedback on whether they needed to come present to us. But this revolves around a board of directors governance discussion for how long the board of directors will be in charge of the new nuclear project, and when the executive board will take control of making decisions.
That's gonna be discussed at this.
That's gonna be discussed at that meeting in Tri-Cities next week.
Okay,
So just that, so that's on everybody's
Do you know
radar.
what day that?
I don't have the
particular
exact date, like I said, it's the 22nd to the
Yeah.
24th, it's probably the 24th would be,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
Cause I'm leaving on the 22nd. It's the 23rd and the 24th is the meeting, so it's probably the second day.
Okay.
I guess.
all right.
I don't have the agenda with me. So again, there was a meeting earlier today, but obviously I couldn't make that because we had stuff going on here. I was gonna talk a little bit about what that process is gonna look like.
Okay.
See that governance model, the layout, yeah, that's what I just told you. All right, and then the last thing is I'm actually gonna be out. August 17th for the week, August 17th, 22nd, and I will not be available for our meeting on August
The
19th.
second meeting, or the third, the.
It's our second board meeting with my regular board, meeting. I won't be
Okay.
available, or for any other meetings that week, if there's a Zoom meeting or.
So I think that's something for staff to keep in mind is whatever we do budget wise, it probably is nice to schedule all hands can attend, because those are important.
Yeah, I'm hopefully I'll be able to check my emails, but that's about as much as I want to promise that I'll be able to do.
I don't really have anything I feel like is pressing, and I don't have any upcoming things. Most of my stuff has been getting here, so lately, so I'll pass.
Yeah, those are the couple of things that I'll be in decision-making process about on our behalf, so you guys can be aware
Got
that
it.
there may be some decisions get made, so.
Oh, you know what, I remember reaching out to Noanet about that bylaw discussion, and I got an email from Craig Nelson saying that. Asking Ryan Espigard to send that out, and I don't think I heard anything since then. Does anybody else?
Well,
Or anything?
I have to confess, it came into my spam filter from you. And I just forwarded it to each of you today.
Okay,
So, and I didn't see a date on there, Commissioner, about when they wanted input from us.
well, it's gonna be, I think it's August 13th.
Second Wednesday.
So we've got time.
So we probably need to look at it at the first meeting of August.
Yeah, why don't you, when you get a chance, take a look, if you have any comments, reply only to me. And then we can have a discussion about it.
So I did get it, I did send it out.
You got,
Okay.
give me
So
something.
that part of where my brain was shutting down.
But is there
I was still
something,
functioning.
is there something more recent
No,
than? Okay.
it's whatever, yeah, whatever.
No, you did good.
Yeah, and it's on language that revolves around ownership.
Correct.
In
The
the
main,
bylaws.
the main idea is to allow more owners who are not electric utilities. That's the big thing. And so I guess take a look at that. Staff, please put it on the agenda for that August 4th meeting in
Yeah,
case
I'll-
we have any concern.
And I'll probably attend that meeting as well, because again,
August 5th, pardon me.
yeah, I'll probably attend knowing that as well, because that's another decision we're gonna have to make, because Kevin is our member rep, so we're
Right.
gonna have to determine who the member rep's gonna be at some point pretty quick.
Okay. All right, Ken, do you have anything you want to go over? Okay, so moving back to the agenda. Consent agenda. Do we have any changes to the consent agenda from staff or
I'll
commissioners?
make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second,
Okay, motion is second. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, consent agenda is approved. We don't have anything under old business. New business, 11.1, new transformer bid award. Who's gonna take this one?
So I'll jump in, several months ago, we went to the board, say, we need a new transformer, this transformer specifically is for the new substation site by the paper mill. We were worried about delivery dates,
So this is a transformer for a substation that doesn't exist yet, but it's now in our 4-year capital plan, correct? Okay,
and we need a spare.
okay,
So, we went out to bid, we had ICPE do an evaluation, on the low apparent bid. Ended up being Virginia Transformer. It pretty much sisters the one we just set in Quilcene. A couple months ago for the transformer swap. With evaluated cost, it came in at $1.5 million. Total cost is less than that, but and they were less than the second bid, which was WEG. WEG transformers were at 130 weeks, Virginia's at about 70 weeks. And on the one we just purchased, they actually came in at just a hair over 70 weeks, so it wasn't bad. So staff is recommending that we approve this transformer moving forward from Virginia for evaluating cost of $1.5 million.
And again, this would act as a spare on our current system until such time as that substation is being built out, and then it would go into that substation as one of the
Correct.
using, okay, transformers.
So question on the math, 70 weeks, assume everything goes on schedule. Where does that put us in the 4-year plan as far as year-over-year expense we've got figured for capital improvement? How does that fit in right, or is that out of
Yes,
sequence?
no, it fits in right with our 4-year work plan. But as you know, our 4-year work plan is contingent on the funding. And we're very close on the RUS funding.
This is getting the loan.
This getting the loan from RUS, so all of that work really is contingent on the funding source, which we think we're secure with that.
But we are committed to the.
We got that.
Yeah, we're committed to the transform, so we're in for at least 2 million, give or take.
There's some escalation costs,
Yeah.
like copper, and the copper's a biggie in the headlines now, it will probably go up a little.
Joe's gonna be your transformer, do you have estimates on this one?
Does it have an integral regulator or is it rely on external?
We use external regulators here primarily because we have so much single phase load. We're so much of a residential.
This is just the transformer, not your.
We bought the regulators last meeting for $500,000.
So there's no concerns? Okay. Commissioners, any questions on this one? Public, any questions on this one? Going once, going twice, and staff can completed your presentation.
So I'll move that, the board approve awarding a bid to Virginia Transformer for the, new transformer.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Substation transformer bid approved.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Alright, the next one. Is
So the Jefferson North.
yes, Jefferson at North and Discovery Bay East tree trimming bid. That will or who's?
Yep, I'll take that.
Okay.
So we're currently out to bid for our next 2 fiber projects, which are to Discovery Bay East along Highway 20 and Anderson Lake Road, and Jefferson North, which includes the outskirts of Port Townsend from Cape George over to Hastings, Woodland Hills, and Marrowstone Island. In order to actually do the work of hanging the fiber, we need to trim back a lot of trees. So we put together a bid for pre-qualified electrical workers to do the tree trimming in that area. It's, I just blanked on the number, 435. 435,050. $435,050. Which means we have to do a formal bid for that, so we're bringing it to the board and asking for approval to post the invitation to bid.
Okay. Questions by the board? Seeing none, questions?
So, question,
Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Collins.
so how much of this is covered by grant money?
This is all covered by grant money.
Kevin, did you want to say something?
I just want to point out, that roughly $500,000 of tree trimming that supports the electric utility is being funded by broadband.
Right.
There's questions on, the payroll we're putting out now and those kind of things, because we have few customers. But some of the make-ready work and the tree trimming, this kind of work is beneficial to the PUD. And so I'm just pointing that out.
Sure. Okay. All right, any public comments or questions? Seeing none, board action, we have a motion in support of this bid going out, seeking bids for this work.
So I don't think we've had a motion approved.
Nope, we have
so
nothing yet.
I'll give it a shot. I move that the board approve the Jefferson North and Discovery Bay East tree trimming bid.
Okay, motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Motion and a second approving the Jefferson Northland Discovery Bay East Tree Trimming bid, all in favor?
I do have I do have one question I wanna bring up, cause I've gotten some feedback since Kevin talked about the broadband, you taking care of this, so. I guess, are we still going to do $1 million out of our other fund, or is this an addition to that? Because I've had the public asking me if we're executing our vegetation management, properly per our own regulations and guidelines and that sort of thing, so this isn't taking us. Or where I'm going with this is that we're not taking our crews away from somewhere else on the infrastructure that may need trimmed to do this particular trimming, is that accurate or is that inaccurate?
You can't find a place on our system that doesn't need tree trimming.
Okay,
This is needed work throughout the system in these areas that Will is bidding out here specifically need this type of work, not only for broadband, but for the power at the same
I think
time.
Dan's question is, are we, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
if you're, we're not we still have the same electrical tree cutting proposals. This is in addition to what we were planning and budgeted doing already.
So these are, yes. I will say this though, because of timing, we're moving over in these areas because we need them done sooner than we are some of the elected work that we would do. So it does affect timing, but it helps the overall budget.
I'm trying to let the public know that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, that we still know we have. Excuse me, that we have areas that need dealt with, so that Joe doesn't get a call. 2 months from now saying, why did you guys trim up there for broadband and yet I had a fire, or, I had a loss of whatever power, blah, 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 so.
Joe will get a call.
So-
Joe will get a call.
So would we do something like this? We've got contracts to do work on the electrical system. We do a bid like this. Is it just the same number of contractors? Is there like a contractor capacity issue with?
There are issues with contractors. There's times where we wanna have two crews from one contract. A lot of times we just get one.
Yeah,
So like I say, it does affect the timing, but all of this work desperately needs to be done, and this is a great way to benefit the electric side with federal grants and state grants.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be transparent.
Got it.
What we're doing.
So we got a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye, motion's approved. We're at the end of our business and it is 5:12 and we are going to adjourn the meeting and then we are unofficially. If you would like, you can join us at the Valley Tavern, which is at 21 Shelburne Road. I sent a text to Jill earlier on this. So yeah, 21 Shimmick Road and Port Hadlock Kitty Corner from the QFC there. And of course, we will not discuss, the board will not discuss PU's business. We will not make any decisions or any of that. It is an informal social gathering that anybody is welcome to come and meet Joe or talk to a commissioner. All right. It is now 5:13. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.